Virtual background is still loading. Interesting. Why is this thing hanging? Excuse me.
Maybe you leave and join back and try that.
Okay, I think it seems to be.
Or maybe your camera is on somewhere else. That was what happened to me yesterday. You were using, maybe your video was on
No.
another application.
Or let me use another system then. You just saying virtual background is still loading, whatever that means. Yeah, join time. I can switch. For the link to join for. Let me just go out and come back.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all doing today? Confirm, please, if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you, Idamola. Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. Please let me know where you're joining us from today. I'm live from Ikoyi, Lagos. You can drop your location in our chat room. While we wait for others to join us, the webinar will start at exactly 2:05 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us on this sunny, bright afternoon. Thank you. Okay, we have Isaac joining from Lagos, David Olaoye joining as well from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us today. Toby joining from Ikoyi. It's a pleasure to have you here. Adedayo from Ogun State, you're welcome. Abibat, you're welcome. Jonathan Olakoju, you're welcome. Thank you, everyone. We're just waiting for others to join us. So we'll kick off at exactly 2:05 p.m. It's a pleasure to have everyone join us here today. Laomi from Lagos, Magudo, you're welcome. Toluwani from Lekki, you're all welcome. So we have 1 more minute to go. We appreciate everyone for joining us today on our virtual roundtable discussion, where we take on the topic, why buy now, pay later, #BNPL helps you beat inflation. We hope that by the end of this webinar, everyone will have a full and comprehensive understanding of how buy now, pay later services can be a strategic tool to help you manage your finances in at this point in time, and also combat the challenge called inflation. Before we start, there are a few housekeeping rules that I want us to take note of. Please note that the webinar is recorded. All attendees are automatically muted by the webinar administrators. This is to avoid distractions. Kindly note that there will be polls in the course of this webinar. Please engage when it's up. Let's drop our messages in the chat room as well as in the Q&A section. Please use the Q&A feature to send in your questions. We also encourage you to make use of our chat box to keep the conversation going. You can also tag us on our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. Finally, a recording of this webinar will be sent to everyone that is attending and joining us today. Both those that are unable to join would also get a recording of this webinar. So for our first icebreaker, please engage in the polls. Have you ever used the buy now, pay later option as a financial decision? And what was your experience? I would like to know if you have ever used the buy now, pay later option as a financial decision, and what was your experience? Just waiting. Please confirm that you can see the post. Please interact. Let us know. Have you ever used the buy now, pay later option as a financial decision, and what was your experience? And also drop your message in the chat room as well. Okay, while we are waiting for the result of the polls, confirm that you've seen the poll and you've also interacted with it. Okay, we have Jonathan. No, he hasn't used this service before. Better Day, I have used the BNPL option. I must say it's a good financial decision. Another person hasn't tried it. No, we care to know more about it. Good. I've not tried it before. Okay, so you're in the right place. So who are we? We are FundQuest Financial Services Limited, a finance house that has been in operation for well over 12 years. We offer loans, investments, fund management, as well as financial advisory services to our clients. Our clients cut across the private sector as well as the public sector of the economy. And we offer tailor-made, customer-centric products. And that is why we are having this roundtable discussion today. So thank you everyone for joining us. And then I'll go straight to introduce our awesome and amazing speakers that we have lined up for today, who will help us extensively discuss on the buy now, pay later product. For our first speaker, we have Kunle Adelabu, who is our head of operations and management services at FundQuest. Kunle holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and an MBA in finance, both from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. He's an associate member, the Institute of the Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, CIS, and was a multiple prize winner in ICANN examinations. He has over a decade experience in the financial services industry, covering financial operations, corporate strategy, banking technology, and process automation. He is highly skilled in intelligent robotics, process automation, as well as knowledge in power platforms. He is happily married and blessed with a daughter. Thank you, Kunle, for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you so much, moderator.
Thank you, sir. So for our next speaker, we have Dr. Mayokun Fadeibi. She is the CEO of AutoCheck Africa. Apologies to everyone. Dr. Mayokun had to be pulled up for a work engagement, but she's now represented by Mr. Muhammad Iyamu, who is an SVP Global Trade at AutoCheck Africa. Thank you so much, Mo, for representing Dr. Mayokun at this. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, our next speaker is Celestine. Celestine Omin is the CEO/CTO Clump Technology Company Limited. The Clump is a Nigerian-based buy now, pay later. So this is already a company that is already in existence and thriving in the buy now, pay later space. He was also the founder of Atlas Lab, a technology consulting company. Celestine was an engineering manager at Paystack, a technology company solving payment solutions for ambitious businesses in Africa. Prior to Paystack, he worked as a senior technical consultant at Andela, an elite engineering organization that provides companies with access to the top 1% of tech talent across the African continent. He's worked at Konga, the largest online e-commerce marketplace in Nigeria with well over 20,000 merchants and $78.5 million in venture funding. Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to have you join us today.
Thanks for having me, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. The last, but definitely not the least, we have Adebimpe Adebisi, the head of retail operations and sales and marketing, Simba Group. Bimpe Adebisi is a seasoned retail executive with over 15 years of experience in the retail industry. As head of retail operations, Bimpe oversees all aspects of retail strategy execution and performance for the Simba Den, which is a retail arm of the Simba Group. Throughout her career, she has demonstrated a strong record of driving business growth and operational excellence in diverse retail environments. She has a keen understanding of market trends and consumer behaviors. She holds an MBA with a focus on marketing and retail management from the University of South Wales. She's a dynamic leader who thrives in fast-paced, dynamic environments and is committed to delivering exceptional results that drive business success. Thank you so much, Bimpe. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you join us here today, ma. So we'll move straight to why we're here today. The elephant in the room, buy now, pay later. Global inflation is on an all high rise globally as well as in Nigeria. We've had over 33.9% in inflation, and this continues to rise. The prices of goods continue to go up, and then salaries are not increasing. You know, the environment is challenged. So we're going to just go straight to discuss this topic today. So I'll give room for our keynote speaker, Mr. Kunle Adelabu, who would now take us through his presentation. Thank you, everyone.
All right, I thank you, the moderator. Can I share? Oh, I'm not able to share my screen. Can you give me the permission?
All right.
Okay, this is top of that screen. Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. I need to fix. I'm sorry, I'm having a little challenge.
Okay, what's the challenge? Do you need any help from us, please?
Yes, okay, I think I've sorted that. Okay. Screen. All right. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the moderator. Good afternoon to all our listeners and my fellow discussants. My name is Kunle, as earlier introduced, and as stated by the moderator, I'll be making a brief presentation to us on and I'll be setting the tone for this roundtable discussion on why buy now, pay later, popularly known as BNPL, can help us beat inflation. So, okay. Yes. So as we've all experienced, inflation has become a major global concern in recent times. And the reasons for this are quite numerous, and sometimes it can be complex, but they include supply chain disruptions created during the pandemic, which was later made worse by the war in Ukraine, among the other factors. And here in Nigeria, we've seen inflation rise to multi-year high, putting a strain on the purchasing power of individuals, businesses, and even the spending power of the government. This is having a significant impact on our everyday lives. It's making things more difficult for us to afford essential goods and services. And even when you try to save up towards some of your needs, before you know it, the price increases quickly. The price increase quickly catches up with your savings, and you are left behind once again. So this economic reality makes it very crucial for us to find very smart ways, around managing our finances better. Just think about it. So what if we can lock in today's prices at a guaranteed level, and you don't have to worry about inflation? Yes, if you can leverage credit, very smartly, like many wealthy individuals and even countries do, we can manage this rising cost much more effectively. But first, what is this inflation? According to the economists, it is the sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services and economy over time. Essentially, it's about a broad trend where the prices of most things in an economy are rising. And with that, it reduces the purchasing power of money, meaning that over time, you will need more and more money to buy the same or even lesser amount of goods and services. For instance, you say you can have like a 20,000 naira today. It buys you fewer quantities of groceries than it did a year ago. This erosion of value of money is why it is vital for us to have strategies to protect our finances against this monster. I mean, it's become a monster, this monster called inflation. Okay. Before we continue, I want us to look
sorry,
at...
sir. Please, can you be more audible? I don't know whether it's just me, but you appear to be faint from your end.
Okay.
Help us project.
I've increased my volume. Is it fine now?
We can hear you well from my end.
Okay. Okay. So possibly it is specific to her. All right. So before we continue, let's take a look at certain specific examples of price increases over the last 1 year, that I'm sure most of us here can relate with. So first here, the price of a loaf of bread has increased by 78% from 900 naira in May last year, that was 2023, to 1,600 naira this May. The price of 3 tubers of yam has increased by more than 4 times. That's by about 425% from 2,000 naira last May to 10,500 naira this May. Now, for a 50 kilogram bag of rice, its price has increased by 129%. It was 35,000 naira in May last year. In May this year, that price has risen to 80,000 naira. Now, the price of a 50 kilogram bag of beans has gone up by 217%, from 30,000 naira in May last year to 95,000 naira this May. And if you are buying a tricycle, the one we commonly call keke napep, for your transport business, for instance, its price has jumped from 1.5 million naira May last year to 2.5 million naira. That's about 67% in just 1 year. And similarly, between May last year and this year, we've seen the price of a 2008 Toyota Matrix, for instance, rising by about 90%, from 3.6 million just May last year to 6.8 million this year May. These are just representative of the situations confronting us as individuals and businesses. And of course, they highlight the urgency of finding ways for us to manage our finances more effectively, particularly amid the rising cost. You can imagine that you started saving for one of these items, say a 2008 Toyota Matrix, like we just cited last year May, when the price was still 3.6 million naira. Before you save enough to meet up the cost of that 3.6 million, the price has skyrocketed to 6.8 million, and that would have completely messed up your budget and possibly discourage you from pursuing that goal any further. So inflation can be quite disruptive without proper financial planning. But what are the specific reasons for inflation in Nigeria? Several factors have been adduced, to the issue. Some of them are insecurity in the food-producing regions, the likes of Benue and Taraba State, which are the country's food hub. In fact, this partly explains why the Nigeria's food inflation has been on a steady rise, reaching the highest ever rate of 40.66% as announced by the National Bureau of Statistics just in May this year. There has been reasons like the worsening exchange rate situation, the removal of fuel subsidies, the high monetary policy rate, which, as we may know, this directly translates to an increase in the cost of borrowing and lending. There is this Nigerian factor called greedflation, whereby people just want to take advantage of adverse situation to sell at exorbitant prices. And it is usually said that whatever goes up in Nigeria, it's finding it difficult to come down. So there is an element of greed too in the rate of a price increase, the steady rate of price increase we find around. So as you might be seeing, these issues are mostly outside of the control of any individual or businesses, the issues we've highlighted on this slide. So as price continues to rise, it becomes increasingly important for us then to find ways to get around some of these issues and safeguard our purchasing power. And this is where leveraging credit arrangement like a buy now, pay later, can be a very strategic move, particularly for those who are very, very smart, of course, in managing the current situation on our hands. So what then is this buy now, pay later? It is a financial arrangement where a consumer can purchase a product or service and pay for it over time in regular installments. It's a tripartite arrangement, and by tripartite, I mean that 3 parties are involved. Unlike your traditional credit or loan arrangement, whereby you have only 2 parties, the borrower and the lender, in a BNPL, that's buy now, pay later arrangement, 3 parties are involved: the buyer, or who is now the borrower, the seller, who is also called the merchant, and the financier. And how it works is such that as a consumer or buyer, you select and receive the goods or services that you want. The financier or the lender, which is usually a financial institution like FundQuest, it pays for the merchant, it pays the merchant or seller on behalf of the consumer. And the consumer then repays the financier or the lender, like a FundQuest, over a specified period of time. They usually call it a small payment or installment. So this arrangement not only helps in locking in prices at the current level, but also makes large purchases much more manageable, by spreading out the cost. Just imagine you need a solar inverter or a generator to avoid business disruptions and loss of revenue due to this unstable power supply, power outages, regular power outages. So BNPL can allow us to get that solar inverter or generator now, at least in the immediate, while you make the payments over time, ensuring guaranteed price. You have business continuity, and you have the opportunity to continue to generate income. The merchant or seller would not release this generator or solar inverter to you because they possibly have no confidence in the fact that you're going to pay, or they don't even want to sell on credit. So then you have this third-party financier who comes in and make that payment. You have access to that solar inverter or generator or whatever asset you can talk about immediately. Then you continue to pay the financier, in smaller installments over time. Let's consider another practical example. Suppose you want to buy a car for, say, a ride-hailing business, but you don't have the full amount upfront. So with BNPL, you can select the car and the dealer receives the payment from the financier. Then you get the car immediately and start using it to generate income. You repay the financier in managing in manageable installments. So this approach allows you to benefit from the immediate use of the car while managing your finances more effectively. And it is similar. If you look at that arrangement, it's similar to how successful business owners, how they leverage other people's money to generate income and create more wealth for themselves. But why buy now, pay later? Why this BNPL? Is it a new trend or a new model in vogue? The moderator was asking participants the other time for them to indicate those who have used this particular credit model before. And of course, we can see some of us here have been exposed to this mechanism in the past. So it's not new. BNPL has actually been growing rapidly worldwide and is expected to continue expanding. According to a publication by Statista, is a well-renowned research firm. Global BNPL transactions increased by 400% between 2019 and 2021. And if you look closely into this data, this was the COVID-19 pandemic period when prices of commodities rose very sharply and real income level fell. So essentially, people and businesses took advantage of BNPL to support their budgets and finances over that period. That was, it was a very difficult period, very trying period. I mean, aside the fact that people were locked up then, I think the situation in where we currently find ourselves exposed to can be compared to what was happening during that period. The adoption of BNPL, according to Statista, is still expected to continue to grow globally. And they predict that transaction value will increase by over $480 billion within the 5-year period between 2021 and 2026. So this trend underscores the increasing acceptance and reliance on BNPL as a strategic financial tool, both by individuals and businesses. So just imagine how BNPL can enable us maintain and even improve our standard of living despite inflation. To drive this point home, let's consider another very real life example. This is a real life case. We have a Vincent, that's not the person's real name. This is a pseudonym, who wanted to buy a car for his ride-hailing business. That was just in 2023, last year. So in May last year, May 2023, he had a cash of 600,000. Now, which apparently it wasn't enough to buy the 2008 Toyota Matrix that he wanted to buy then. That was where we got the 2008 Toyota Matrix example from. So he wanted to buy that car then. He has 600,000. So one of his options, he thought about keeping that 600,000 and create a kind of a financial plan whereby he saves 250,000 naira every month for next 1 year until May 2024 this year. So for him to buy the car. However, Vincent contacted one of our financial advisors in FundQuest, and he was advised to consider the BNPL option, and he made the choice to take that option. Of course, he saw some numbers on what is possible and the kind of a benefit that may accrue to him. So Vincent took that option. So he had to abandon the option of outright cash purchase. Of course, if he had taken that option 1 year down the line, that was in May 2024, Vincent would have saved up to 3.6 million naira in his savings account, but the price of that car had almost doubled from the 3.6 million naira it was in 2023 to 6.8 million naira in May 2024. Meanwhile, Vincent was financially smart. He took the BNPL option. He used his 600,000 naira then as a down payment in May 2023. He got the car at the market price of 3.6 million naira then, which was paid for by FQ. So FundQuest may make the payment to the dealer. And the cost plus the low interest amount, which came to 4% then, was spread over a 12-month repayment period. So Vincent started using the car immediately. That was then for his business, and was repaying FundQuest, what we call small on a monthly basis. So as of May 2024, when Vincent completed his 12-month installment, he had repaid a total of 4.4 million naira to FundQuest. Meanwhile, as of that time, that was last month, the cost of that same car had gone up to 6.8 million naira. Essentially, by choosing that BNPL option, Vincent locked in the price and saved himself a whopping 2.4 million naira. So while having that car available for his immediate income generation, was using it for his business and of course for his own personal comforts too. So this example highlights the financial benefit of using BNPL. So just imagine the opportunity cost Vincent would have faced if he had chosen to save up for that car, instead of using the BNPL option. So he would have missed out on income from the ride-hailing business and faced higher cost later on. So you can just imagine. So what we have established so far is that a BNPL offers several benefits. So, and I talk of the benefit of a price lock-in. It's a cost-saving instrument. You lock in today's prices before they rise further. The equipment you want to purchase or any asset you want to purchase becomes available for your immediate use. Then your payments become manageable. You spread out the cost of large purchases into smaller, manageable payments, the one you call pay small. And one key impact, the benefit of BNPL is that it improves your credit score if you use it responsibly. So a responsible use of BNPL can contribute positively to your credit score. And mind you, a strong credit history is essential for accessing other financial products in the future. Without credit history, there is no credibility history. It is that simple. I mean, remember, your credit score is your credibility score. So even though while BNPL is there, you still need to manage it responsibly. Now with the benefit, equally come the downside. So while talking about its benefit and how BNPL can be a handy tool for us to protect our finances from inflation, it is equally important for us to mention that there are certain downsides to it, which we must be aware of. And one of those downsides is the potential for debt trap. And when we say, so when you hear this, when you do this breakdown, BNPL itself, it breaks down purchases into smaller installments. You are paying for it, small installments. It makes the initial cost looks less daunting. You see it as, okay, this is I mean, how much do I need to be paying? I need to be paying 20,000 naira or 5 or 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira on a monthly basis. So it can lead you to overspend and underestimate the total debt that you are accumulating, particularly when you now make it a habit of jumping from one financier to the other. You are accumulating debt. So imagine you buy a laptop for 1.2 million naira from, and it is financed by a lender A, you use BNPL, and the payment was, it was, there has to be a 12 payment installment, for instance, and you are paying 100K monthly. It feels manageable, but if you then go ahead and approach another lender B, to finance a new iPhone 15 Pro Max for you at 1.8 million naira, and that one too was spread over another 12 installments. Suddenly, before you know it, your monthly payment would have jumped from the 100,000 naira with lender A to 250,000 naira cumulatively. And that could go on, that debt spiral could go on. And before you know it, you start juggling multiple debts. And if your income isn't big enough, the true financial body may become overwhelming, and you come under pressure. So another downside of it that it could lead to impulsive purchases and a budget busting. The ease, the speed, the appeal of BNPL transaction can bypass this natural pause we usually have, when we are dealing with traditional credit. There are some internal conversation you have sometimes, and you're asking yourself that whether I really need this particular transaction. So when that appeal, the ease of access, may make you throw caution to the wind. So it can lead to impulsive purchases that you didn't plan for, and it can disrupt your carefully crafted budget if care is not taken. And imagine you are browsing online, or you are checking through your emails, and you are seeing some very great offers on cars, on mobile phones, on television sets, refrigerator, some of those your household equipment. You may not just be careful enough, and you can make some impulsive financial behavior, which and of course it can lead to what is usually called buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse, you buy an item, and later on you start feeling, you start beating yourself. You feel this remorse, and of course it can impact on your credit score. I mentioned that earlier, and this can have some long-term financial consequences for you. And hidden charges, some providers, they have late payment fees or other charges that can add up quickly. So be sure you read the fine print, understand the terms of the contract and all potential fees before using the BNPL service. I've seen instances where late or hidden charges on seemingly small BNPL purchases can turn into significant costs for borrowers. So that's why you should consider transparent lenders like FundQuest, who doesn't cut corners by creating hidden charges or embedding some ridiculous fees within the contract. While closing my presentation, here are some safeguards. So while BNPL can be a very useful tool, it is crucial for you to use it responsibly. I did mention that earlier. And on that note, I would advise that before you borrow, ensure you budget. Budget before you borrow. So factor in your BNPL payment into overall budget to avoid overspending. Understand the terms of the contract. Read the fine print very carefully and understand all the fees, the interest rate, and the repayment terms before even using whether BNPL or any other credit facility out there. Use it for planned purchases only. You see, BNPL is best suited for planned purchases, planned, careful purchases. So those purchases you can truly afford within the repayment time frame and within the limit of your income. Consider alternatives. For some larger purchases, you may want to discuss with your lender. That's why you have financial advisors in FundQuest who can discuss with you whether you may need to leverage some other credit product, like traditional credit. It may offer better structure, it may offer better flexibility, better pricing. So these are some of the considerations that you need to bear in mind. So don't let rising prices hold you back. Consider BNPL as a solution to manage inflation and secure your financial future. You can always reach out to FundQuest for an easy BNPL solution. That's one of the products we sell. So why wait when you can act now and avoid future price increases? So you have an option. You have a tool, a financial tool that you can help to cope and then manage the current onslaught by inflation. Remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, as often said, while the second best time is now. So you have the option to take control of your finances today. And before you take your next BNPL decision, ensure you reach out to us. We can be of help, both in providing the financing and in financial counseling. So that concludes my presentation, and I'll be handing back the mic to my moderator. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. That was an insightful presentation. We're able to learn a lot. You highlighted the benefits of BNPL, as well as the safeguards that we need to also take notes when going for the BNPL solution. So let's keep the conversation going. Adegboyega Ajayi, your hand is up. Please feel free to use the chat room or the Q&A box to drop any comments that you may have, or you want to make an addition to what our speaker has already said today. We have disabled the option of speaking. It's just for the moderator so that we can have a robust session at this point in time. Just going through that paper, we can say that the best time to start is now. If we look at advanced world, the credit system, they use credit for everything. You're buying a house, you take a mortgage, you want to change your car, you know, you lease it, your credit rating, your credit score. If for people, that's how you know, that's how people know who they are in those worlds. Like, that's how people get to relate to them. You're buying a laptop, your phone. Nobody will carry 2 million naira and go and buy an iPhone. Like, it's ridiculous. But in Africa, we see that, you know, I'm a big man, I want to show off. But in these cities, I'm maintaining, you know, that I have money. A lot of it is all social media flag, but like it's all, they are living lies. All of them boring. Some of them even, you know, get designer bags, take a picture, snap, and then return it back. So you don't have to put yourself under pressure. And in this inflationary period, it's best to just act now. I'm saving money, 50,000 as a salary, and how long will I save? By the time I'm ready to buy the car, the price of that car has tripled. Have friends who have also taken up this opportunity of, you know, leasing a car, and they are paying small. And the beauty of this BNPL is that it allows you room to pay in installments. You pay small, so your finance is not hinged. So I'll just go straight to the panelist session, where we ask questions and hope to enrich further on what we've developed. So please feel free to drop your questions as well in the chat room and also in the Q&A room. So our hashtag is hashtag buy now, pay later, hashtag BNPL, hashtag FundQuest. So I'll move straight to the Q&A, the questions for our moderator, our speakers. So for the first question, this will be directed to Bingbe. With inflation on the rise, do you see BNPL, buy now, pay later, becoming a more mainstream financial tool or a niche product? Over to you, Bingbe.
Well, absolutely. BNPL will definitely be one of the, you know, best options to go for with inflation on the rise, as our keynote speaker has already mentioned, Mr. Delabu. He gave a graphic presentation of what the cost of basic living is right now. So definitely more people will be looking for options to be able to afford basic necessities, and buy now, pay later is definitely one of the best options that they can explore, you know. But again, the cautionary note is to be careful the way it's assessed. Always, a priority list is important. Have your priority list of what is required as a necessity. You know, aside, weigh the options between a necessity and a want. A need versus wants kind of thing to know. For instance, the issue of, I'll give the issue of, maybe a car or a solar solution, for instance. I mean, getting a solar solution last year as against getting a solar solution this year, the gap is very, very wide based on the inflation rates, the exchange rates that has gone up, even import duties that has gone up, because most of these products are imported, So everything else, we woke up to the news of subsidy removal and boom, everything escalated. We woke up also to the news of grid collapse and boom, the need arose for obtaining an alternative solution to the national grid. We have so many people who have no access to grid. We have, even the grid that is available is not sufficient. So it's definitely going to be an option for most people, seeing that maybe they can't uptake the initial cost of one of those solutions. And, the option of paying over a period of time is always a welcome idea.
All right, thank you very much, Ma, for that summative response. So to the second question, this will be directed to Kunle. How do you see BNPL helping people manage their budgets during inflation?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, during inflation, I think I gave an illustration on that. We've already clarified that during inflation, prices are always rising. The price increase is sustained. With BNPL, you have the opportunity to access a guaranteed price. You have an environment whereby prices are rising for other, but somehow those prices are fixed for you as an individual. It's just it's a result of a smart financial decision. Of course, that too can come with an understanding of the way the economy works, an understanding of the way finances works. You are able to determine ahead that prices of the price of this item would likely jump, say by 100%, and you say, okay, let me buy now, get a financier who can possibly lend towards this item, and such that the cost of borrowing at the end of the day will not be up to the increase in price. Price is increasing by 100%, and say maybe I'm paying about 50% of that in interest rate. So by the time you do the number, until you start crunching these numbers, you may not really come to terms with the benefit. So when you look at it, you look at the cost now, you add the interest rate, and you look at the possible cost in the next 6 months. Possible cost in the next 6 months is, say, 200,000. Cost now is 100,000. Interest is 50,000. Then if I buy now and pay 50,000 naira to the financier over a 6-month period, I have benefited. And the benefit goes beyond even the financial benefit. It goes to the utility value. I get an immediate use of an asset, like you once referenced. That's what they do in the developed nations. I heard someone telling me that, okay, I want to, the person just migrated from Nigeria and saying, I want to save, I don't want to borrow. And I had to ask the person that what you are saving, what is coming to you on that? Maybe you are being paid, say, 1% or less than that, or whatever it is. But someone is saying, I'm giving you this item now, start using it. If you save and say you save for the next 2, 3, 4 years, and you still get the same asset that you would have gotten now in the next 4 years, just the same asset and possibly at a higher price. So you are much better off financially, and of course, the fact that you have immediate access to whatever you want to acquire. So it's obviously it obviously brings a lot of benefit. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So I'll move straight to the third question that we have. This will be directed to Celestine. For those already in debt, how might buy now, pay later affect their financial situation? There are already people in debt and they still want to buy into buy now, pay later. So how do you see it affecting their financial situation? Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much, Mindolola. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Honestly, for you who is in debt, the very first thing is, frankly speaking, try and clear your debt. And the reason is, in the course of profiling you as a potential customer for a BNPL product, one of the things that your financier will have to do is to look at your financial history. It could be from income, it could be from asset, it could be from wherever. Now, a situation where even though you are not necessarily in debt, okay, I'll speak on two things, but even when you're in debt, of course, debt means you have a liability somewhere. And a financier will say, look, if you're in debt and you probably can't even service this one, or you're servicing this one, the chances of you defaulting on ours, it's very high. So in most cases, you are advised to go sort out your debt, frankly speaking. Which also explains why you have to be in a very good financial situation. So good financial situation is, look, when you have an income, you put some somewhere else. Even when you're not in debt, if your income is almost exactly like your expenditure, most financiers will not give you the money. So you earn 500K and you spend 499,000 naira already today. Financiers will say, okay, so what's the point? You only have 1,000 naira as surplus. How are you able to service this debt? How are you able to pay back? So the very first thing is get your ducks in a row, sort yourself out in terms of clearing your debt, then you can come back and take on BNPL. In a case where financial institution go ahead to give you that, if there are punitive actions, honestly, it does more harm than good to you. And we've seen cases where companies are now talking to embassies to say, look, so and so person is indebted to us. So you fly to another country and before you know you're being deported, or you can't even access services in the new country that you're immigrating to because somebody said you're owing them back home. So please, first and foremost, go sort out your debts before you can think about taking on more debt. BNPL, no matter how it sounds, is also credit, so it's debt also. So go sort out the first one that you have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Celestine, for that response. Financial responsibility is key for everybody. Before you take on more than you can chew, literally you need to be sure that before you get into BNPL, you have the capacity to repay that loan. It's very, very important. Thank you very much, sir. So for the final, another question here, this is directed to Mo. Mohammed is representing Dr. Mayeko at this session today. Is it wise to use buy now, pay later for non-essential items like lifestyle upgrade? I just want to change my car. Let me just go for BNPL. I just want to buy a Chevy. Or we should reserve it for assets that are that can potentially increase in value or generate passive income. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. So I think that one thing that buy now, pay later also helps you to do, those items might seem as non-essential, right, to the common man. But different people have different needs. And at the end of the day, if you are able to save up some more cash, right, from using buy now, pay later to change your car, for example, then that extra capital can go into business investments that can then generate you more revenue, right? So, if you look at it from one standpoint of view, it might seem as non-essential items, but in reality, it's saving that extra cash that you'll have had to churn out to buy that new car or buy a Shobi, as you said, to then assist you with some, side gig or side project that you're currently going on at the time. And then, you use your monthly income from whatever source of revenue to then pay off the monthly installments on the buy now, pay later product. So I think, it then depends on the individual, but, buy now, pay later is definitely the way to go.
All right, thank you very much. Any addition? Kunle, do you have an addition to what he has said? So you're nodding there. So we have an addition, or we'll go straight to the next question. Please feel free to also drop your questions in the chat room. So I'll be reading off the first question in the chat room now from Oluwaseun. And the question is this: is there a standardized or universally acceptable interest rate for buy now, pay later? Because in the developed countries we are mentioning, the interest rates are single digits for buy now, pay later. So Celestine, please help us answer this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a standardized rate? Honestly, there's none. Different markets have different monetary and financial policy. I'll take Nigeria, for example. About a month ago or 4 weeks ago, thereabouts, CBN has raised interest rates for every single person. Go talk to your banker friends, talk to Mr. Kunle, he would know what I'm talking about. CBN raised interest rates. Now, in that case, what do you do? Now, if you are every single time you get credit, please understand that even the financiers, we don't have a vault where we print money. We go somewhere and take this money from some people. Now, oftentimes you go to financial institutions, you go to private investors and take this money. One place where us as a company would have taken money from is we go to Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry gives you, let's say, 500 million naira at a 2% interest rate, right? On a monthly basis. At the end of the year, that's 24%. Now, while you're still holding that facility, for instance, then CBN changes the rule. Of course, the interest rates that I give to you will have to change. Now, in most cases, right, if you started a facility with us as Plum and we locked you in on, let's say, 3% on a monthly basis, even when the interest rate changes in the course of where you still have a facility with us, we won't change it for you. We sort of swallows it. But the next time you come, it has to be reflective of the new interest rates that is prevailing. Because if we don't do that, then we might as well not, stay in business. So understand that we are not loan sharks. There are different sets of people. We are here to serve you. We are here also to sort of do business. And the lifeblood of every single business is to stay alive. If we take this money out somewhere and we go out, there's a popular bank recently that went underground and NDIC is paying out for it. Everybody knows what happened to that bank. They give out bad debt. So those kinds of things is what sends companies under. So please, nobody is here to sort of say, oh, Mr. Femi wants money from me, I am going to kill him at all means. That's not the truth. So even though when you go out and you say, okay, society XYZ has this, understand that nobody legitimately can give you any instrument way more than the interest rate set by their central bank. If anybody does that, then that's the person who is doing that is violating whatever laws that sort of governs that country. Thank you. I hope that helps.
Yes, it really does help. Thank you very much, sir, for that response. I think the person knows that, there's cost of funds as financiers that you pay. And of course, the main objective is not to kill the business, really. And for both the lender and the customer to both be happy. So I'll move straight to another question that we have here. We're in an era of continuous rise in everyday products and assets. Is it advisable to fully immerse into buy now, pay later? Or what's the best way to go about it? Bimpe, please help us provide answer to this question. Okay, while we're waiting for her to answer that, this is directed to Mohammed. Please, let's hear your thoughts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think, like Mr. Kunle said, right, he did a very clear analysis there, right, in terms of price change. Unfortunately, we're both swamped, or it's a double-edged sword right now in terms of when you look at the FX rates versus inflation versus which then of course then brings in the entire price increase in products, right? However, your income is not increasing at the same rate, right? I don't know of anybody that has increased income by 39 or 40% in the same period, right? Vehicle prices have gone up almost 100%. However, if you had bought a vehicle 1 year ago, technically your money has doubled. There's no investment that is going to give you that. Some people will tell you, yeah, but if you sell it, other things are also not expensive. No, not exactly, right? If you sell a vehicle now, for example, and you buy something that was manufactured locally, right? The prices haven't gone up as crazy as, a lot of the imported products, right? Or you go back and go and do a business, or you go to the farm to go and start farming, right? You can invest that money overall. So yes, now is the best time to get into it. If you look at the inflation has started to decline on a month-on-month basis, so it means prices of goods would also start to come down. So it's a good time to get involved in buy now, pay later, take advantage of it. If the interest rates go up, like Mr. Celestin said just now, if the interest rates go up, nobody's coming to tell you, hey, I have to increase your repayments, right? You've already taken out the facility. You're paying at the rate of last month, right? If it's a product that you bought, you buy an AC or a TV, you're paying at the rate of, whatever you bought it last month as against what the rate is going to be today. And look, and in reality, if the prices start to come down, sell it and go and take a new one, right? Then it's still a win-win for everyone at the end of the day. But yeah, definitely the time.
Thank you very much for that response. We're just getting to this buy now, pay later, and let's see where that takes you. So our next question, this is directed to Kunle. Compared to traditional purchases of goods and services, how can we use buy now, pay later to be a more strategic option for combating inflation? And are there other alternatives? There are two in one, sorry. Are there other alternatives that we can consider apart from buy now, pay later in the event that we don't qualify for buy now, pay later? Are there alternatives?
Okay, all right, thank you for that question. Yes, so first, why buy now or pay later seems a little more attractive, particularly to lenders, because it's not just it's a very good strategic tool, but lenders do have a much better comfort, so to say, because whatever funds is being lent out by the lender is tied to an asset they can verify. You see, one of the risks of the traditional lending to a lender is the risk of a possible funds diversion. I mean, you give someone funds who say, okay, the person may come to you and say, I want to buy a car. A car can be a subject of BNPL, and it could equally be the subject matter of the direct lending, the personal loan or the traditional lending. The person comes to you and say, I want to buy a car, and you give the person the money to buy a car, and the person possibly go and give the money to his side chick, or spend it on Ashwebi or any other, those things we could consider frivolous. So with a buy now, pay later, a lender seems to be a little more assured that, okay, I'm aware of the fact that this money is actually going to an asset. And one way or the other, the lender can even be following up with the customer, with the borrower now in this case, to understand the state of the asset, to understand the use of the asset, and maybe possibly even give some sort of concession because of the fact that this thing is tied to an asset. So those are it's like it's much easier in a way. It's much easier because I can verify what you are using that money for. So it is easier for the lender to want to even give you that kind of a financing compared to a traditional lending. And before you start talking about BNPL, that would have, in many cases, there would be a kind of an arrangement, an existing arrangement between the lender and the seller, who is the merchant now. So it gives everyone that comfort, and of course, it makes it easier for you to access. And the fact that benefit of you having immediate access and being able to maintain that guaranteed pricing, whether prices rise or fall, whether interest rate rises or not, may no longer be your worry. So it helps you to be able to budget better as a borrower. you are able to predict your finances better. I know that this is the much I am exposed to. I am exposed on a monthly basis. I am going to be paying 200,000 naira as my obligation towards my buy now, pay later. You see, there is a way that this certainty introduce some stability into your budget, into your financing. You are able to plan better. You are able to allocate your resources much better. And of course, the fact that I can access this asset immediately, it gives a lot of benefit. Imagine it's a business, like we were using the Uber business, to draw an analogy the other time. I can use that money, that asset, to be making money immediately. If I am saving that money in a savings account or in any other investment scheme, I mean, maybe the best I can earn, say I'm earning, say 15% or whatever per annum, and your Uber business is already fetching you, say 100%, 200% per annum on that asset, on that particular asset. So you are using an asset that is making you money, and is saving you cost in terms of a possible rise in prices. So whichever way you look at it, it is a very great a tool for managing your budget and finances. And of course, it gives you easier access to credit compared to a traditional lending or financing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that response. That was quite apt. So the product buy now, pay later, we have a lot of us asking questions that you want to know, you want to sign up. You can reach out to us at customer@fundquestnigeria.com. Also on the screen, we have our website. You can go on our website. So we have other products and services that are there. Like, we also take investment if you want to invest with us as well. And there's also our contact where you can get in touch with us so that we can provide more apt responses, because we will not be able to take all the questions at this session due to time. So we are always available. Our trusted advisors are always available to listen to you and also provide more response. So this final question, this will be going to Mrs. Adebisi. The question is this. I called you earlier. What is the unique selling point or attraction for customers? Any
Okay, the unique selling point for
product
buy now, pay later, you mean,
yes.
to customers now?
Yes.
I would say is the fact that you can actually control your the way you can actually have access to a need at the point of your need, to put it simply. For instance, you have a need at an immediate need for managing your maybe to get an asset that has become something that is a need and requirement in your home. For instance, you have to purchase a generator or a solar solution because there is no grid available at all. To improve the quality of your life at that time, buy now, pay later offers you that option to be able to acquire that need, because it's something that is required for your well-being. Also, buy now, pay later would serve as a source of income generation for you. Perhaps you have a business idea, you want to start a cold room, and you need to purchase a freezer. You don't have the required funds to start that business. Buy now, pay later will give that option for you to start generating an income for yourself. So yes, it's definitely going to be a preferred option. I mean, that's the attraction, that's the unique selling point, the fact that you can acquire an asset on a need-to-have basis.
All right, thank you very much, Ma, for that response. So we'll be rounding up the webinar soon, but we want our speakers to give us final words, advice, share us a story that we can also take back home with us. So Celestine, final word from you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So I think myself, like most people, there's a cultural, so credit seems like a taboo. For oftentimes, there's a cultural perspective to it. And people feel like when you're getting to credit, or when you take debt of some sort, or take credit of some sort, then something is wrong with you. But frankly speaking, nothing is really wrong with you. For me, my default these days is to look for credits wherever I go to. Now you can say that's the consequences of working for a company that does credit. But also for me, it's also a way of sort of managing my finances. I earn a fixed income. I can predict my income from now till end of 2025, except by some sort of miracle, the board decides to give me more money, which I wouldn't say no to. But I know what my income looks like. I know what my expenses looks like. So I can pretty much predict how I could do. So I use buy now pay later for things that are not even, for instance, my kid's school fee. The last time I paid full out of pocket for my kid's school fees, like maybe 2+ years ago. So these days I just use credit. Because I know on a monthly basis, if the school fee for the kids is, let's say 20,000 naira, then I know I need to put down maybe 88,000 naira on a monthly basis. So 300,000. Then I need to put down, let's say, 100,000 on a monthly basis. My default now is, do I go take this 300,000 naira from my savings and go give? Or can I take 100,000 naira on a monthly basis on my income so that I don't get paid, then get into that place where I am already stretched and I'm sweating, I'm waiting for the next month to come so I can get more money. So for me, it's the same way. So the way I plan for my internet bills, the way I plan for my electricity bills is the way I plan for my kids' school fee, and just around just BNPL to sort of pay for that. So embrace it. You have a very predictable income. There's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, it will save you the stress of being that guy that gets paid X. Then by 18th of the month, you're already looking for soft loan to patch through the month. You don't want to be that person, and I hate being that person. So for me, BNPL is one of those things that I will always use. Now, even when I go to a merchant that doesn't offer it, I will pretty much go to a financier and say, look, I want to get this. Can you finance it? Let's talk about your rates that I can pay you, that I can finance it. I have used it all the way to house rent. My landlord will not do BNPL, but if Mr. Kunle will give me my rent and I can pay him later, why not? I will take it. So please use it.
Thank you very much. That's very, very correct. I mean, we don't have to be shy and, see credit as a taboo. It's we have all borrowed at some point in time, be it formally, informally, from a family member. Let me just have this little sum, I'll pay you back. So let's embrace it. Thank you very much, sir. So Kunle, your final words for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you. I mean, from the discussion we've had so far, we've established that inflation is an economic reality that we all face, and by understanding and utilizing tools like a BNPL, we can better manage our finances and then lock in today's prices, spread out our payments. And it's not just about surviving, but thriving and making informed and strategic financial decisions. As we discussed, leveraging credit wisely can provide immediate access to necessary goods and services, helping us to mitigate the opportunity cost of waiting. I mean, having to wait for another 1-2 years has its cost and consequences. So additionally, maybe other financial strategies such as savings, such as a fixed deposit, the direct personal loans. Not that they are not bad options, just that the focus of this conversation today has been more around BNPL in particular. There are those alternatives. I mean, we can start exploring fixed deposit and other, financial products too. They have their own benefits, but when we're talking about managing inflation, helping us to maintain a very great financial position during an inflationary period, you cannot rule out the place of a credit product like BNPL. Just on a final note, always think about the cost of funds and, of course, the benefit of immediate access. And, of course, I gave us some safeguards earlier, which I will encourage that we are mindful of, even when taking advantage of this product. Properly leveraging credits and particularly BNPL can significantly transform our financial landscape, much like it does for those wealthy individuals and the nations. We're making reference to those developed nations. Cash has its limits. It will always have its limits. Even governments, even though they have the power to continue to print cash forever, sometimes you hear people protesting and of course asking government to stop printing cash. And the government cannot continue to pay because they have inflation target. See, every CBN has what is called inflation target. So they have to ensure that they print cash within certain limit. So the same way cash is limited to an individual, cash is also limited to governments and businesses. So these particular financial tools can help us in overcoming those limits. I think that's the final take from me. Thank you very much.
That is quite a lot. I hope we're all taking down all the notes and all the lessons that our speakers are giving us. So over to you, Bingbe. Final words and advice. You can also share a story, Ma.
I thought I gave my final word earlier.
It was a question.
Oh, okay, this one is final word.
Final after this.
Okay, so I will just lend a voice to what everybody has said. Buy now, pay later should not be viewed as a taboo. Very important, and it's something that we should embrace. It's something that we can use as a tool to fight inflation. And it's something that we can use to improve the quality of our lives. However, there's always the caution, right? There's always the cautionary part that, we need to be responsible with our finances as well. We need to be responsible with the way we access the funds. And we all need financial literacy right now at this point that we're in Nigeria. We need to know how to manage assets. We need to know when to look away, so to speak, when to look away. And yeah, so generally, it's a good one. It's a good initiative by FundQuest, and I welcome it. I believe that it will go a long way in helping individuals. It will go a long way in helping us manage our resources at this time.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So over to you, sir. Mohammed, final words as well from you.
Thank you, Ainda. I think, just tagging along with the other speakers, we definitely need to move to a more credit accepting environment. People need to understand better that they can achieve more quicker, with credit. So as long as it is utilized reasonably and responsibly, it's not a bad thing. It helps you to grow, and we must embrace that. But while we embrace it, we shouldn't, throw away our savings culture as well. It's very important to have your safety nets, for rainy days, but embrace credit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We also thank everyone who has joined us today. We appreciate you. But before we go, we'd also like to invite our Executive Director, Mr. Bisioni, for a closing remark and final words and advice for everyone. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you so very much, the facilitators and the moderator and all our guests this afternoon. It's been a great session. Just like you said, I don't know whether there's any final word, but just to say BNPL is an instrument or a leverage for us to be able to maximize opportunities within this space. It's not that it's a new thing, but to our environment, it is becoming known. So it's something, just like our speakers have said today, that we need to engage, ask questions, and see how we can take advantage of that product. More importantly, like the caveat they also emphasize, let's be responsible borrowers. Just like we use any tool very recklessly and it will work against us, we can use this tool, this financial tool, as an instrument of creating wealth, because when we save from those excessive price increases, we are indirectly saving something. So advice is, let's ask questions. Let's just go there and ask questions and make it happen. I'm very sure FunQuest will be too much ready to assist in walking you through the processes. I've listened to conversations, I've read questions that are agitating our people's mind, and we are very ready to make sure you have a rewarding session dealing with us. Thank you so very much to all the speakers. Thank you to the moderator, and more importantly, to all our guests. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our esteemed speakers. It's been an educative, enlightening session. We've learned a lot today. So we appreciate everyone. Should in case we're not able to have answered any of your questions, please reach out to us at FunQuest. We have our emails in the chat room already, customer@funquestnigeria.com. We also have our phone numbers, and you can also reach out to us on our website. We are ready to answer all of your questions. So thank you, everyone. The session now comes to an end. So do enjoy the rest of your day. We appreciate you for coming. God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Ma.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, sir.